This is a clip from our Piedmont episode that explains all about the wines made in the region. Here we go.
Before I get into Nebbiolo, I want to talk about Barbera. The reality is while Nebbiolo may be the star of the show, you're more likely to find Barbera on the table in most Piemontese homes on your average weeknight. Barbera is the most widely planted grape in all of Piedmont. It's much easier to grow than Nebbiolo, and consequently it's way more affordable. It's got a great juicy acidity, medium body, and doesn't overwhelm with tannin, which allows it to pair with a whole lot of food. And even though it's dark in color, which usually suggests dark fruit, Barbera likes to live in red fruit land. Cherry, strawberry, and raspberry, though blackberry and sweet spice from oak are common as well. These wines are super affordable, fun, versatile pairing wines that make for a go-to weeknight staple. Now for the main event, Nebbiolo. With rare exception, Nebbiolo is only grown in Piedmont. It's a darling among sommeliers because it's like Pinot Noir. It's super terroir expressive, meaning it takes on the characteristics of the place it comes from. This means the same grapes grown just a few blocks away from each other can end up being totally different. Nebbiolo is also similar to Pinot in the sense that it's super finicky and tough to grow. It only likes certain soil and weather. On top of that, it's a bit of a trickster. Nebbiolo's light in color, almost translucent, and its acid is super high, its fruit character red. Think cranberry, raspberry, and cherry. It's incredibly perfumed and the nose really jumps out of the glass. Again, kind of sounds like I was describing Pinot Noir, right? But here's where things differ from Pinot. You taste Nebbiolo and it's like the palate was turned up to 11. The tannin is huge and the alcohol high. Nebbiolo really sucks the moisture out of your mouth. It's one of the only grapes on the planet with tart red fruits, but a rich, powerful, full body. Tar and roses is another classic tasting note for Nebbiolo, along with herbs, leather, wood smoke, and licorice. Because of its high tannin, Nebbiolo usually needs a lot of time and aging in the bottle to soften up. Purists will say you shouldn't even touch them for at least 10 years, if not longer. But as you'll see in a second, it all depends where the wine comes from and how it's made. Okay, recap. There are two places most famous for Nebbiolo, Barolo and Barbaresco. Now they say Barolo is the king and Barbaresco is the queen. Barbaresco is softer, less tannic, and ready to drink a bit earlier than Barolo. This is because Barbaresco has mostly limestone soils, which lead to less tannin in the grapes. There are also different aging requirements. Barolo must be aged for 38 months before release and 62 months for Reserva or reserve wines. Barbaresco only ages for 24 months and 48 months, respectively. After these aging requirements, most of the wines can then age an additional 10, 20, or even 30 years after their release. What this means is that you're not going to see a young Barolo or a young Barbaresco on the market. And because of these aging requirements, both legal and preferential, these wines can get pricey, $60 and up. But there are some regions outside of Barolo and Barbaresco, like Langhe or Roero, that make more affordable Nebbiolos that are ready to drink sooner. Also, more modern producers are making their wines with less maceration and thus less tannin, which means they too can be enjoyed earlier. At the end of the day, it's ultimately your choice as to when you pop your bottle. Young or old, discovering wines and their different tastes is why we drink wine in the first place.
If you want to know more about Piedmont, make sure to check out our full Piedmont episode and don't forget to subscribe.